What is a vampire? In popular legend, a vampire is a creature that preys on humans by consuming their blood. Vampires have been featured in folklore and fiction of various cultures for centuries, but their popularity has waned in recent times. Characteristics. Central to vampire mythology is the consumption of human blood or other essential essences, such as bodily fluids or psychic energy. A person can become a vampire in a variety of ways, the most common being bitten by a vampire. Some people believe that babies born with teeth between Christmas and Epiphany are predisposed to becoming vampires. A decapitation. They are typically said to be of pale skin and range in appearance from grotesque to preternaturally beautiful, depending on the tale they are told. Another frequently cited physical characteristic is the inability to cast a reflective or oblique shadow, which often translates into the ability to be photographed or filmed. Vampires are said to rise from their gallows or coffins, often containing their own skin, in most depictions. While vampires usually don't die of disease or other normal human afflictions, they are often said to have faster than normal healing abilities as well. Various methods are used for their destruction, such as having a vampire jump over a corpse or killing them with a vampire's sword. Vampires are often depicted as being repelled by running water with garlic or Christian implements such as crucifixes and holy water. Exposure to sunlight, fire, decapitation, and a wooden stake through the heart are the most popular of those. In some stories, vampires may enter a house only if they are invited, and in others they may be distracted by the sight of stray objects, such as leaves or haystacks, that they are compelled to count, thereby enabling potential victims to escape. They may enter the house only when invited, or forced by the threat of being killed by a vampire in some cases. Sometimes they may enter the home only if the owner invites them, or if the homeowner invites them for a drink of wine or cognac. In other stories, they enter the home if they are told that they will be killed if they do not comply with the vampire's demands. Description and common attributes. They were usually reported as bloated in appearance and ruddy in color or black or dark. These characteristics were often attributed to recent drinking. When seen in the shroud or coffin, blood would often seep from the mouth and nose, and from the left eye, and was often open. It was buried in a linen shroud and had teeth, hair, and nails, but no fangs. Sounds were reported from the graves. Identifying vampires. Holes in the ground were taken as a sign of vampire presence. Folkloric vampires could make their presence felt by engaging in minor poltergeist activities, such as touching people in their sleep and throwing stones on roof. In some cases, when suspected graves were opened, villagers described the corpse as having fresh blood from a previous victim on its face. Evidence that a vampire was active in a given locality included the deaths of both livestock and neighbors. The horse would presumably balk at the prospect of death if it was found on a white horse. Premature burial. Vampire lore may also have been influenced by deficiencies in the medical knowledge of the time. In some cases, when people reported sounds coming from a specific coffin, it was later dug up and the victim was found to have marks on the inside of his body. Alternatively, an explanation for the noise may be that gases are escaping from the natural decomposition of bodies. Another probable cause of disturbed tombs is grave robbery. History. In many cultures throughout Europe, digging up vampire corpses was practiced. The natural characteristics of decomposing bodies, such as hair and fingernails, and the appearance of receding gums, are thought to have led to the belief that corpses were some way of life after death. Vampire myths were particularly popular in Eastern Europe, and the word vampire most likely originates from this region. Research from the 20th and 21st century has posited that traits associated with vampires can be traced back to certain diseases, such as psoriasis, which makes one sensitive to sunlight, and tuberculosis, which causes wasting disease that affects the skin. The modern incarnation of the vampire myth seems to have largely stemmed from the Gothic European literature of the 18th and 19th centuries. Approximately at the turn of the 19th century, vampire poems began to appear in English. The dead were often lowered into the earth's surface to prevent them from escaping. People who were very ill, or even very drunk, and in a coma, were thought to be dead, and miraculously recovered because of the constraints of the medical diagnosis at the time. It led to rituals like staking corpses through the heart before they were buried. Psychodynamic theories. A desire for a reunion with loved ones may project the idea that the recently deceased must return in order to yearn for the same. From this, the belief emerges that folkloric vampires and revenants first visit their relatives, particularly their spouses. There may be a desire for reunion in cases where there was unconscious guilt associated with the relationship. Second, some repression has been linked to the development of morbid dread. Some modern critics have proposed a simpler theory that people associate with immortal vampires because they overcome, or at least temporarily, escape from their fear of dying. He connected the innate sexuality of blood-sucking with cannibalism with a folkloric connection to incubus-like behavior. Nods. People can only save themselves from their hauntings by exhuming them, impaling them, cutting off their heads, or burning them. These revenants are called vampires or vultures because they are related to them. These vampires were corpses who went out of their graves at night to suck the blood of the living either at their throats or their stomachs, and after returning they returned to their cemeteries. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe, like, and share.